Marvel's What If is going out with a bang. We know when we're going to be playing Resident Evil 4 in VR. And I've been playing a bunch of fun indie stuff. Let's chat about that and the latest and everything cool today in The Rundown. Hey, welcome to The Rundown. My name is Victor Lucas, and I'm so glad that you have found me in the electric playground. Today's episode is brought to you by Pinnacle, which is back and headed to the Vancouver Convention Center. It's hosted by the Gaming Stadium, along with partners Even Matchup Gaming, Gallant Gaming, and Vancouver Street Battle, and they're bringing you 3 days of non-stop gaming action. Pinnacle runs Friday, October 8th to Sunday, October 10th, and it's going to feature a $30,000 prize pool around some of the best in competitive gaming like Smash Bros. Ultimate, Street Fighter, and Guilty Gear. You can register today to compete or spectate at tgs.gg. And I'm going to be at Pinnacle, actually. I've just been talking with the Gaming Stadium folks, so if you're in Vancouver and you happen to be watching the show, I will be there October the 9th, the Saturday, because the 8th is Friday, so I'm going to be there on October the 9th for sure, and maybe the 10th as well. We're still working all that out, but I'll be up on stage, and I'll be roaming around and saying hello to folks. I can't wait. It's going to be super fun. It's going to be my first big gaming thing that I've been to in a long time, more than a year and a half, and I'm hosting a live thing with Vancouver Film School this week as well, so I'm getting out in the world. Last week, I was at a Kevin Smith presentation that the Vancouver Film School put on, which was a tremendous amount of fun. It was so cool to be out, and he was great. Okay, I've got a dedication for you guys today, and this one is for a person named Noghead. Thanks for introducing some of us to Goody, Vic. I really dig what he is doing. He's talking about Goody Grace, who I interviewed in the last rundown. He's a rock star who I've connected with over the last couple of years. He performs with Blink-182 and does all kinds of really cool things, but super nice guy. He's been an EP fan forever. So, yeah, I'm glad that people are discovering his music. He's super talented. All right, let's get started with your rundown, and we're going to start off talking a little bit about What If. Now, Marvel's What If aired today, the 8th episode of the first season of the show, and I'm so glad that there's going to be a second season. Everybody knows what this is about. This is taking some of the things that we know from the MCU and reinterpreting them, asking the question, what if everything was a little bit different? Or what if one thing was different in the storylines and the plot lines that we know with these characters? And what would happen as everything kind of trickles and changes? And so we've had a bunch of really cool episodes over the season. This is kind of a mid-season recap. We've had lots of imagery and lots of scenes with some of our favorite characters, oftentimes voiced by the same actors that play these characters in the movies, which is really fun. And even the sound-alike sound almost identical to the actors from the film. So it really does feel like an extended connection to the MCU in a palpable way, in a really fun and enjoyable way. And I've really enjoyed this first season. There's been some really big highlights, like the first episode with Captain Carter. I enjoyed the zombies episode. And I haven't done, a discussion of the What If episodes over the last couple of weeks because I've been super busy, but I wanted to kind of do a quick little recap, jumping into episode 6, which was a re-examination of Tony Stark's origin story. And this was a cool idea. This was as if Michael B. Jordan's Killmonger had helped Tony Stark before he was captured and helped him get away. And so that whole idea of Tony Stark not becoming Iron Man because he sort of hit rock bottom and has to escape and find a way out and use his wits and build the iron armor was really cool. It was really quite fascinating. And it really painted an interesting picture of Killmonger as well, because obviously this is an incredibly capable villain. I mean, from the MCU, he's a villain. But he's got all of these latent abilities and an incredible intelligence, and he's incredibly physical, and, he is a Wakandan warrior. So it was really cool to kind of flip the switch a little bit, and we're thinking, what, is he going to be a good guy? Is he going to help Tony Stark, and maybe he's going to get in the armor? But really, he kind of shows his evil roots and his ulterior motives, and he kind of backstabs everybody. And it was a really fascinating and creepy examination of the Killmonger character And I really think that Michael B. Jordan's a great gift to the MCU. I thought Killmonger was amazing in the Black Panther movie. So was Claw, by the way. I always enjoyed Claw. But it was really kind of creepy to see, just how dark the show went, because once again, we see Tony Stark get killed in this episode, and it was kind of a downer. I mean, we've had a bunch of different episodes in a row where things get really bad for the Avengers that we love, and I guess that's the way you would flip the switch a little bit on the scripts, because obviously things kind of turn out in all of the Avengers movies. But in episode 6, things get pretty dark, and it's kind of awful. We see the Dora Milaje and Okoye, and all of the different cool Wakandan sort of elements are in there, and we see that he becomes the Black Panther, but it's not the Black Panther that we know and love. Killmonger kind of transitions to that. It's really an awesome episode, but it kind of, especially after the darkness of the zombies episode and the Doctor Strange episode, it was starting to feel a little bit overwhelming, and I think the producers at Marvel were becoming aware of that, and so with episode 7, they wanted to lighten things up, and we moved into a Thor story, Thor and Jane Foster specifically, that kind of taps into the first film's levity and that sense of humor, and we get the sort of party goof as Thor that really suggests from the question of the episode, what if Thor is an only child? And so he's kind of a spoiled brat, and he doesn't have Loki, trying to get the attention of his parents or anything like that. He kind of does whatever he wants to, and sort of he has his posse, and he parties all over the galaxy, and he says, you know what, let's go party on Earth, and it's there that he meets Jane Foster, and they kind of have goo-goo eyes for each other, and it's cute. But, I really did find that episode 7 was so, it just felt like all of the weight and the heaviness was taken out of the show, like all of the darkness, and so this felt like such a piffle. It felt like a like a gagathon, like they just wanted to show us all kinds of, you remember this? Remember this? It was a lot of member berries all the way through the episode. Lots of different cameos. We saw Clancy Brown's Surtur in this. We saw the Grand Master portrayed by. I'm forgetting his name. We saw the Grandmaster in this. We saw he was on the turntables, as a matter of fact. We saw Korg, Taika Waititi was in there. We saw them get matching tattoos that kind of recognize their proclivities for science and magic, which was really cute. And Loki does make an appearance, but he's a very different Loki. There's also a huge battle with Captain Marvel, which I really appreciated, because we've gotten a taste of Captain Marvel's power, but we haven't gone full throttle, and I think with episode 7 and again with episode 8, we really get to see how powerful she is, and I enjoyed that. I did feel, though, that episode 7 was, almost a little bit too light and too goofy for my tastes. And so I was kind of feeling like, okay, are we going to be riding a roller coaster with What If? Are they, is the wind out of the sails a little bit? Is it not going to be as good as the heights it reached with the Zombies episode and, in episode 1, Captain Carter? But then, nope, episode 8 is absolutely ridiculous. And of course, I'll spoil a little bit if you haven't seen the show. It premiered today, so you may want to mute for a second here. But this was the first time that we really see Jeffrey Wright's The Watcher in action. And he has to square up against a truly frightening, terrifying Ultron who comes into possession of all of the Infinity Stones. So he becomes this all-powerful, just beast in this show. And this is the episode that felt most like a film to me. And it's so epic, and there's so much stuff going on in this episode because we're crashing through the multiverse, but it felt like a film, and it's so big that there's actually a second part to this. There was a cliffhanger at the end of it. It started off with an awesome, dystopian action sequence with Hawkeye and Black Widow, where they're taking on the Ultron robots. We see that Ultron has been a threat to the world already, and he has taken over the Vision's Mind Stone, but then then he gets all of the Infinity Stones by just taking out Thanos in an incredibly, like, shocking way. And then he does, square up against Captain Marvel, and Captain Marvel goes down, and then ultimately, we see this battle that happens between the Watcher who has just been a character that can't interfere, actually does interfere. He gets involved, and it is so massive and such a big storyline and a plot point, and it teases, because what Marvel has said is that everything in the MCU is connected, but it really teases where they could go with the live action stuff. And of course, we're diving into the multiverse of madness with the new Spider-Man film, and then Doctor Strange is going to follow that up. We're seeing a little bit of that in Loki, and it does feel like maybe Ultron has been pulling some strings again across the multiverse. And also what's interesting about the 8th episode is that there have been some pretty cool, dramatic little endings that just are kind of snap endings, no pun intended, for previous What If episodes, but they are tethered to this finale, and it's because of all of these multiverse appearances. So I'm happy to report that episode 8 is now my favorite episode in the show. It's just incredible. It's stunningly beautiful, and it's incredibly powerful, and it's like I got chills watching it. It's shocking, and it's an incredibly fun episode. Now they have to land the plane with the 9th episode, the finale of season 1, and hopefully they will. But I want to know, man. Let me know in the comments. Let me know what you think of Marvel's What If. Are they doing it for you guys? Are they pulling off a great show, or do they have more work to do? Would love to hear your thoughts. And right now, though, we are going to move on and talk a little bit about the world of virtual reality. Oculus is going to have a fantastic October. They've got 2 big games headed our way, and the first that I think is the most exciting, although not chronologically in the calendar, is Resident Evil 4 is finally coming to VR. And this is an incredibly creepy game. Certainly, it's been around for a long time, so people kind of know the beats a bit, so maybe it's not going to be as terrifying as it was when it first came out. And I remember just playing this game on the Wii and the GameCube. Was that the first time? Yeah, I think it was on the GameCube. And just feeling awful because it creeped me out so much. It was just like, I shouldn't be here. I shouldn't be in this world. I shouldn't face these demons and creatures. And it was so effective. So I'm really looking forward to re-exploring the game from this different vantage point, playing everything at first person in VR. Hopefully it comes together. This is no small task. This is one of the most beloved survival horror games of all time. Armature Studio is the company that's working on this, and I believe they are the ones that worked on that Batman game, the Blackgate Prison one, that was from the Arkham series. And there's some ex-Metroid Prime devs at Armature, if I've got my developers correct. But so far, the visuals look really good. They don't look state-of-the-art. We're seeing, obviously, assets and things like that have been modernized and taken forward a little bit. But, this doesn't look like Resident Evil Village. But all in first person, all in VR, where you can look around in 360 degrees. This should be a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to playing Resident Evil 4 again in VR. And that comes out on October 21st. October 12th, which is coming up very quickly, is Lone Echo 2 is finally coming out. And this was it's the sequel to a landmark VR experience where you are kind of stranded in space. You're piloting a ship, but you have robot companions, and you have all of this technology, lots of, mystery to solve and puzzles to solve. It's a really cool adventure experience made by Ready Player One, made by Ready at Dawn Studios, who kicked ass on the God of War PSP games, if you can remember those. And so, looking forward to what extra years of development means for this game, and because they knocked it out of the park with Lone Echo 1, so clearly they've got more experience. They've got a lot of technology under their belt. It only plays on PC capable, on VR capable PCs. It's not a Quest game. Resident Evil 4 is made specifically for Oculus Quest, the tetherless system that's out there. Now, you can hook up the Quest to your PC and play Lone Echo 2 that way as well, but it's kind of more tailored for the Rift type of experiences. So looking forward to jumping into both of those games in October, and I'll definitely come back with thoughts on those games. And I'm actually honestly excited to dive back into VR. It's been a few months. All right, I also have been playing a bunch of indie games, and I wanted to talk to you guys about that. First up, I wanted to talk about Sable, which is a game that I streamed not too long ago right here on this channel. And this is a game that's available on Xbox Game Pass. So if you're a subscriber, you can just jump in and start playing this right now. It's an adventure tale. It's kind of like a coming-of-age tale where you are gifted all kinds of abilities and skills, but you kind of have to go out on missions to unlock those abilities and skills. And you also get this cool hover bike that lets you explore. It's an exploration game. It's not really, a combat-centric experience, at least from what I have played so far. But there's some cool, obviously a beautiful visual style to this. The art is incredible. I had just come off of watching Star Wars Visions, all of those awesome anime episodes, and this felt really like an extension of that, like almost like a Star Wars anime experience. But it's clearly inspired by The Legend of Zelda. Lots of cool alien lands to go off and explore, lots of ruins and things to go diving into, characters to interact with, and customization as well. I absolutely think that I haven't played enough of it to kind of score it, but I think that this is worth checking out, especially for all of you Game Pass users out there. Clear some time in your schedule to give Sable a shot. I think you're going to be impressed. If you like these, puzzle-solving, platform, action-adventure, role-playing type experiences, I think it's pretty damn cool. I also played on Xbox Game Pass and streamed a little bit of this, The Artful Escape, which is a music-based game with a tremendous production quality to it as well. Beautiful artwork. It is a scrolling experience, so you're going kind of left to right across the screen. There's some verticality as well. And it's all about the lead protagonist's ability to rock out and to impact the story as he cruises along. He's got, delusions of grandeur at the beginning, but he's also trying to figure out, his place in the world. And it turns out that his place in the world is in the galaxy. And so he goes cruising on this interstellar adventure, and it's quite lovely, and the music is super cool. And there's some pretty fantastic Hollywood, celebrities that are involved in the voiceover on everything, including Carl Weathers, Jason Schwartzman, and Lena Headey from Game of Thrones. And I found it to be, entrancing and quite beautiful and, fun to play, but it really didn't hit me with its gameplay. It was more like, and Mark Strong is in the game too, it really was more of a, an impressive sort of audio, video kind of package. Here's a production presentation for you. And that's okay. I think sometimes games are meant to just, you get lost in them, and it's not really about the Twitch thumb candy and being able to, beat the monsters in a specific way or anything like that. So I found the game to be quite easy to play, but still beautiful, but not, super keeping me on my toes with its gameplay. But I think it's a fun story and music-based experience, and I cannot believe, because The Artful Escape and Sable both had targets on them as two just incredible indie titles that were headed our way, and I can't believe that Game Pass users they just pop up in the inventory, and you can download them anytime that you want to. And you probably should check them both out. I was also gifted a review code for Spelunker HD Deluxe. Now, this is a game that's been around for a long time. It's a remake of a classic arcade experience. And, Spelunky may have been influenced by this game, but it's been around since the 80s, and there's even an 8-bit version of the game that you can play. They've added a whole bunch of different modes to the game, so you can play multiplayer. You can sort of pit your scores against the world as well. And it's really difficult. That's the one thing about this game. Here's some of the 8-bit graphics. This is what it looked like originally. And it's pretty cool. You can bounce back and forth when you're playing the game and see that everything has been laid out in the same places, but they've worked with the lighting and worked with the effects and stuff. Again, it's not like a state-of-the-art type game, but it plays pretty damn well. You just have to kind of it's got some intricacies and some quirks that you have to kind of learn and overcome. And once you do get a little bit further into the game, it does feel like, oh my God, I can do anything, because it beats you down when you first start it. It's one of those classic games that is incredibly difficult. I wouldn't say that I love this game. I appreciate that it's been around so long. And I think that there's probably a lot of developers and lots of players out there that have some really fond memories of this and may have been inspired by it. But I don't know. There's a lot to choose from today in 2021, and there's lots of other better indie type of experiences that I would go for over this. But if you are a collector and you happen to know this game and have fond memories of it, I think they've done an all right job with it, for sure. I also took a look at a space shooter. I'm a big fan of space shooters going all the way back to, well, the X-Wing games, but also Descent Free Space. I don't know if anybody remembers that. That's one of my happiest memories back on the PC. This one's got a weird title. It's called Subdivision Infinity DX. And got a review code for this one as well. It's on the PlayStation 5, and it looks okay. It's not as fleshed out and wonderful in the story department as something that you would get from the Star Wars universe, like Star Wars Squadrons or anything like that. The gameplay's pretty fun. You've got capital ships that you have to take down and turrets and stuff. You've got to do some mining. You've got to buy new ships and upgrade your ships, and you've got new weaponry that you can attach to your ships as well. The cutscenes and all that stuff, though, are just like this. They're just like little a cutout head standing up there, and all the dialogue and stuff just sort of floats along that way. We have gotten way farther with storytelling in space shooters, even going back to the Star Fox stuff. I think they've done a better job with that. And I think that's something that holds the game back a little bit. But there's lots of really cool action elements in this. It felt pretty fun to take on the enemies. Once I got the groove of it, because it's again, it's not like super fluid once you jump in. There, navigating through the menus and getting into combat and stuff was a little bit clunky. But I did enjoy it once I started to understand its mechanics. Again, though, I mean, recently Star Wars Squadrons crushes this. I loved Eve Valkyrie, and there are other, really fine space shooters that you can point to. But this is still solid entertainment. And again, this has also been out for a bunch of years now. This is kind of a re-release on the modern systems, but it's been out on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. And you can also get a Switch version of the game. But if you're a space shooter fan, I think you're going to have some fun with Subdivision Infinity DX. That is a bad name for that game. And then the last indie game that I got a review code for is a title from Apogee. And Apogee is an old brand in the games industry that's back making video games. They worked with Orange Pixel, who is a developer that I knew about, and actually have been following him on Twitter for a long time, because when I was reviewing a lot of Android stuff, there were a lot of cool Android games that Orange Pixel was working on. He's always played in this retro space. And Residual is another retro type of experience. It plays on that survival genre out there. It's kind of like a fusion between Metroid and a survival game where you've got to go and get your resources, set campfires, eat fruit to survive, you got to sleep. You've got a little robot buddy, and you've got a ship that's crashed that can, help you build things and craft things. And you go to procedurally generated worlds and you explore them. And the mystery of the game is actually quite cool, but I really found it difficult to play. There is the terrible onboarding with the game. It doesn't really explain anything. The robot voice, I think, might be the voice actor that worked in the Borderlands games. And he doesn't get enough to say, so he says a lot of the same things over and over again, and it's really loud and really annoying, but it's not helpful. And also, as you can see with the art, everything is itty-bitty. It's really small. All the textual stuff, like, this is not a game that's been designed to, for bringing people with poor vision in, or you'll need glasses if you've got to squint at the TV, and even more so when you're playing this game in handheld. It's everything is so scrunched and tiny, and it extends to, like, look at that. Look at the textual information that's on there. There's a ton of information. Thousands of creatures that you can scan, lots of different worlds and stuff like that. I did dig the ambition of the game, and I did, I kind of like its super retro kind of vibe to it. It's also got a nice modern collection of colors and lots of cool little textures and stuff. You can go fishing, but I did find it really cumbersome, and I don't know. I think they should have worked to put the ramp in there to make it a lot easier to get into the game. They should have guided you a little bit more to sort of figure out what to do. It's a little bit like No Man's Sky in that way. When you first boot up No Man's Sky, you're like, what the hell? What do I do? But I think there's a lot of that in the survival space. But if you're a huge fan of retro and you like the survival type of games, there's a lot of those in the genre right now. You might want to check out Residual. I am definitely intrigued by it. And again, I haven't played enough of it that I can score it, but I haven't given up on it either. I'm intrigued by it, and I am a fan of Orange Pixel. All right, I've got a couple of other things to talk to you guys about, and this one's some great news from the fine folks at Disney Plus. They have announced the release date for the Book of Boba Fett, which is being made by Robert Rodriguez. He's the showrunner. He's one of my favorite filmmakers out there. Can't believe that. And he's going to be overseeing the Book of Boba Fett, working with Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau, and it's going to star, I forget the actor's name, I should have written that down, the same guy that's been playing Boba Fett forever, and Ming-Na Wen is reprising her role. She was wonderful in The Mandalorian, and so this picks up on the storyline and the plot stuff that was set up in Mandalorian Season 2. Fired up, can't wait. Star Wars has been really, really crushing it on Disney Plus on TV, and we've got the Obi-Wan show to look forward to, and the Rogue One Diego Luna spin-off show has just ended production, so we've got that one to look forward to as well. But first up is the Book of Boba Fett on December 29th, which is really cool. In the other world of streaming, the folks at Netflix have purchased their first video game studio, Night School Studios, the makers of Oxenfree, and this is a pretty big deal. Now, obviously, Netflix has been in the news because they have said that they want to include video games as part of their subscription offerings. They're not going to charge anymore, at least initially, so you're going to be able to get movies and video games off of Netflix. And Night School has gotten a lot of attention for Oxenfree. It's won a lot of awards. They're working on Oxenfree 2 right now, and they've said that the purchase from Netflix isn't going to affect the development and the release of Oxenfree 2, which is pretty crazy. And in fact, Oxenfree is so beloved in the video game development scene. When I interviewed the game director working on Guardians of the Galaxy, they mentioned that Oxenfree was a huge inspiration for the dialogue trees and the way that the conversations are going to roll out in Guardians of the Galaxy, which is pretty high praise. I think that's pretty cool. I also think it's pretty impressive that Netflix is, paying attention to the smaller teams and the smaller studios out there that have made some noise and are developing projects that are rippling across the business like this. It could mean some pretty huge things, and likely an Oxenfree show or movie is on the way as well. And speaking of movies, today on Disney Plus, as part of, at least in Canada, I don't know if this is true in the US, but Free Guy has hit Disney Plus today. So if you're a Disney Plus subscriber, you can watch this movie that was in theaters, probably still in theaters, like a month ago, a month and a half ago, and now you can watch this Ryan Reynolds blockbuster. It's actually done really well internationally, and shockingly, it's already available. You can watch it this weekend if you wanted to, which is pretty incredible. I had a good time with this, and I interviewed the screenwriter Zach Penn. You can watch that Vic's Basement Chat. He was joined by Mike Micah, who runs Digital Eclipse, and he was a huge video game consultant on this game. On this movie. This is a movie about a non-player character in a video game that wakes up and it becomes self-aware and has to change the world in many different ways, which is really cool. And another addition to a subscription platform is The Avengers, which hits the Game Pass service today, which is pretty crazy. So you get all of the year one content for for free if you've got a Game Pass subscription. You can jump in, play through the really terrific single-player story, and there's a lot of other content that you can play in. You can play the multiplayer stuff as well. Of course, they will sell you lots of costumes and other little bits if you get super hooked on the game, but I think that this is going to bring a ton of new people and new players to the Avengers, which I think is inching its way back into the good books right now. You know, I think a lot of people got a little fatigued with the repetition in the game, but they've done some good stuff with the DLC for sure. I think the story stuff in the game has been really solid. And then Spider-Man is still scheduled to drop on the PlayStation 5 by the end of the year, or on the PlayStation platforms. I think it'll play on PS4 as well. So it'll be interesting to see if that impacts the Avengers in a really positive way. Are you guys still playing the Avengers? Have you given up on it? I know that Blair Farrell probably is still in on this. Drain Twitch says, I feel so bad for Avengers. I don't know, man. I don't write them out just yet, you know? Like, we've seen this happen with all of the... like, Destiny had some struggles. Every one of these games that has come out, these sort of persistent live service games, has struggled a little bit. And the Avengers could turn things around. The bones of the game are pretty damn great, you know? It's just that I don't know if you can honestly launch a game of that scale with enough content. I think it takes years post-launch to develop more content. And the problem is that people that, you know, race through to the end and then go out into the world and talk about it, really break it down and talk about how repetitive it is and how the end game. I mean, you know what? If you're a Game Pass subscriber, I definitely recommend that you check out the Avengers. Download it to your system and see if it's for you. I had some fun with it, and I am definitely going to download it again because, you know, when I beat the Black Panther thing, I deleted it. I'm like, I don't have time to go play any more Avengers, but I will download it again when Spider-Man comes out for sure. That is going to do it for the rundown today. Thank you all so much for watching. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. Thank you for hitting the follow button, hitting the like button, for sharing the content. It's awesome to have your support. I'll be back with a fresh episode for you tomorrow. And in the meantime, I want you to do one thing for me. I want you to play forever.